Welcome back to another episode of the Ripple Effect podcast by Ripple Baseball. As you can see, we're doing something a little bit different today. We are trying out a little virtual podcast. Again, we try to have Joe Gunn on the podcast. We do some technical difficulties. We're just gonna audible real quick, and yeah. So just to start off talking right away, this episode is coming the day after opening day, and Bosie, as you guys know, Jacob Bosiokovic, longtime friend of the program, he actually got to go to Reds opening day yesterday. So, Bosie, can you tell us a little bit about that?
First time down there in the Natty, seeing opening day is pretty crazy. I missed some of the crowd because it took us like 2 hours to park, so that was freaking brutal. Was there for I think we got there game started at 4, we got in there like at 3, so we were there for all the stuff before. 4 Blackhawks flying over. That was pretty sick too. But a lot of that made me just think about myself growing up and really just, recently playing in the minors and all that. Those opening day jitters, those opening day like vibes of this is the year, things like that, where you haven't got those moments where you get punched in the face yet. But yeah, it brought back just a lot of memories of all the different moments and different parts of my journey and thinking about all the kids we're around and we work with it, how everyone goes through all those first game jitters and feelings.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was actually thinking the same exact things, like watching um, I was watching the Mets Pirates game. I'm Mets fans. Like, there's guys that I've played with playing, and like pitching on opening day. Like, the Angels, their opening day starter was Jose Soriano. Like, I remember him in spring training when he was like 16 or 17 years old, and we called him Young Soriano. You know what I mean? Now he's like a full grown. He was on like 90, 92 at the time. Now he's like a full grown beast, like starter, sitting
He's a
95,
dog.
96, 96. Like, he's really good, but like it made me think, and it's like funny that you say that because like it made me think like, okay, like are they nervous? You know, because like I couldn't ever picture them pitching opening day. You know what I mean? Like in a big league game, but they're doing it. And maybe think about like Paul Skeens, where he just pitched in the World Baseball Classic, and then now he's also pitching an opening day for the MLB season. It's like, is he nervous? Like, because and I think, I mean, only they can answer that. And it's funny that I ask those questions, but like what you're saying, like they probably are. You know what I mean? Like it's a natural thing. Like same thing for our guys who are starting up their high school seasons. Like that opening day is you get nervous. I remember coming out of the bullpen and you're sitting there opening day and you're like, dude, am I gonna go in? And all of a sudden they're like get hot and like then we go back to like talking about what we just talked about a couple of podcasts ago. Quiet panic starts setting in, and but it just comes back to at the end of the day, the guys go out there and they just dominate opening day too. Some guys fail, and it's like, is that because one guy was nervous and one guy wasn't? You know, like I think about those type of things too. Like, um, but at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to preparation, right?
For sure.
Like they're prepared for that moment if they have success or failure. Um, which I think we we kind of were talking before this, before we started our episode. Like, like you said, like when you're younger, I'm sure you dreamed of pitching in the big leagues. Like you got the opportunity to be in the big leagues. Um, Did you, when you were younger, did you, I know it was something that you probably wanted to do. Could you see yourself doing it? Like, I don't know if that question makes sense. I know I just talked a lot and then just threw a question at you at end, but like, did you actually see yourself like when that's what you want to do, but being like, yeah, I am one of those people, or I can be one of those people.
Uh-huh. I think each point in my life, I think if I break it up from when I was in high school, college, minor leagues, and then at the highest level with the big leagues, I feel like each point I just saw what like the next step was. So in high school, I saw myself playing college baseball, and then when I decided it was going to be Ohio State, and that I committed my junior year. But at that point, I saw myself. I saw that future of playing for Ohio State and wearing the scarlet and gray. But I think towards the end of my college career, when it felt like the opportunity to play professionally was in the cards, that's when I started seeing myself on the big league field and actually visualizing and picturing that's what I wanted to do. And I was committed to whatever it took to do that. From a hitting standpoint, ultimately that hit a wall, but really the same thing once I switched to pitching was like, well, here we go. This is my opportunity. And pretty much when I got to double A, this was after the COVID year, when I started in double A, the first year I was in low A, but at some point every day, part of my pregame routine was some visualization, seeing myself run out on the mound, out of the bullpen into a big league game. And I probably did that every game. I started doing that like 1 month into my double A season. I did that before every single game for 3 years, 3 seasons until it happened. But I didn't even run out. But till I almost was able to run out on the field. But I did that routine and saw myself running out on the field every day
Yeah.
or every game for like 3 years. Even when we were in Indy ball, when we were in Charleston and sitting in our metal lockers in the dungeon, I was still
Yeah.
doing it. So
Yeah. I think like visualization is awesome. Like I think that was a big moment, just like you're saying, like bringing awareness to like what you're doing, right? And like why you're doing it and everything. Like I think when I was in the lowest point of my career in terms of like success, I remember before I went to bed every night, I was visualizing myself throwing a good fastball, throwing a good slider, like basically like sequencing pitches in my head of like, okay, this is what you need to do. Like, and stop thinking about like the bad ones. You know what I mean? Like these are the good ones. Boom, boom. Here's a backdoor one. Here's a, whatever. And I think that that absolutely helped me to come back from that. But I think another thing that I want to hit on and ask you about that kind of builds off of that is like that you're talking about like pre-game and like visualization, seeing yourself, ultimately like you're having success. Obviously, you made it to the big leagues. But what about like in the off season, right? So like we talked about did you want to play college baseball before you had an opportunity to play at Ohio State? And like if so, or like same thing, like did you know that you had an opportunity to play professional while you're at Ohio State, that type of stuff? What did you do, in your opinion, to help give you those opportunities? I don't know if that makes the most sense the way I asked that, but like for me, just like thinking about like I think when I started wanting to play college baseball, like the idea of it, like I didn't know anything about it. No one from where I'm from went and played college baseball. It was kind of like foreign. Uh,
mhm,
but like I would wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and I had like this like bench. I had this bench that was like the built the seat, like the bench that you lay on was built into the rack. And every morning I woke up and I would do like 3 sets of 5 bench press and I would do like 3 sets of 5 squat. Because in my brain, I was like, I'm going to do something that no one else is doing at the time. And like that to me, like pushed me to get to where I was going because I was like, okay, I'm doing more than the average person.
mhm.
Right. So like, do you have any moments like that? Or like, did you go about your business in a similar way? Sorry,
Yeah,
I
I think
tongue
there's
twisted.
when you're asking that, I think there's like 2 or 3 moments that immediately came to my mind, all from different parts of my journey. One was in high school, and again, I mean, I was still a kid and it would go in ebbs and flows of like, I'm super locked in, and this is for a 15-year-old, or, I go in a wave where I just was grinding video games all the time, just like any
Hmm.
other kid does, but at some point, I was there's a couple moments. I remember there was a stretch where even when I was watching TV, in every commercial break, I was doing rice bucket for my forearms. Again, kinda similar to what you said, where you were just finding ways to do more than anyone else was doing. That's gonna
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I
in your mind,
remember.
like, you're taking one step, even if it's just the smallest step, you're taking one step towards your goal that
Yeah, it's
other
like during
people
commercial
probably aren't
breaks,
doing.
do a bench. You have to do 5 push-ups during commercial break, like stuff like.
Yeah,
I
I was sitting
remember.
in my basement watching whatever, and, like, a commercial
Yeah,
break would come on, and I'm just doing squeezes in the rice bucket.
yeah,
But, like, over the course, I remember I did that for months, and I did that over the course of a long time. Again, not like a big moment or a big thing, but I remember just in my head, I was taking a little baby step, getting closer towards my goals. When you were talking about if other people are doing it or not, ultimately that also instills something in your mind, like, when it came time to play, you have taken more baby steps and are mentally probably thinking like I put in more work and I'm more of a dog because I was doing all these things that these other people weren't doing, and you live in like a different world and you end up competing in a little bit different world. So from in high school I remember doing that, grinding the rice bucket, and then in commercials that was funny. And then honestly I would hit my garage all the time, and I would throw, and we would drop a bed sheet in the basement and I would throw into a bed sheet. Just random points where if I had free time, that was, again, I was a kid, so it would go in ways. But I remember there was a bunch of runs I had where if I had free time, I was doing something to take a baby step towards, what are my goals, which was to play in college at that time.
Did you ever have the hit away or swing away, whatever heck it was called? It was like you put it to the post and like it would spin around and then it
Hundred
would come
percent.
back. Yeah, I used to
I
crush
would
that thing.
100% the hit away, and then I don't know how this ever started, but I was big on. I would swing. I would get this broom, a big old broom, and I would do like dry swings with the broom for bat speed.
Yeah.
That's some old school stuff.
Yeah, I think I had a penny bat where you put the tape down and you put pennies around it and then you wrap
Yeah.
it again. And then I also had a softball that I hit a bunch of nails into, and that was my heavy ball. Like before heavy
Oh,
balls were a thing.
I feel like you showed me that before.
Yeah. So like those are like the two things where it's like, okay, I'm doing something different. Um, do you think there's any moments in time, like during your career, like in high school and stuff, and maybe college, that like you were challenged that helped you? Like, just for example, I remember two from mine. Number one, I played for the Syracuse Chiefs in high school. Really good travel ball organization. Like I ranked like 13th. I went to the WWBA. Like we always played 17U. We always played the highest level we could. But I went as a sophomore and as a junior. And after my junior tournament, which I did good in both of them. I was more of a hitter than a pitcher back then. But our coach, his name's Tim Alexander. He was a Rays scout at the time. Now I think he's still a Rays scout, and he was always like a jerk, kind of. But after the second one, he like he was mad at me. He's like, "You haven't gotten any better from last year to this year." All this stuff, and I was like, "Dude, like I gained like 3 miles per hour on my fastball. I weigh 200 pounds now versus like before I was like 175." So like he made me mad by telling me that I didn't work hard enough, even though I know that I did. And then in in college, Coach Edwards, our pitching coach, it was my junior year. We just had scout day. And then we did like a follow-up scout scrimmage a couple days later, like inter squad a couple days later. And I think I gave up one hit on like a really good changeup down the way to a lefty, hit up the middle. I think at what 2 innings, like struck everybody else out. And I come off the field and I want to talk to him about that changeup because it was like a new pitch. And I was like, how, like, I thought that changeup was actually like a good pitch. So, like, I know he got a hit, but like, what do you think? He goes, I don't even want to talk to you right now. Like, you're so soft. He's like, you throw 95 and all you do is throw curveballs and changeups. Like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And like, so I was like dumbfounded, sat on the bench and he's like rethinking everything that I've ever done, like, um, but like those two moments stick with me the most because like those were two times where I was actually challenged, other than like someone just telling me like, "Hey, you should try this or try that. Maybe that'll help." It was like two like in the moment, like really just like trying to tell me that. And I don't know what they're really trying to do, but it's like you're not good enough, and if you want to get to where you want to be, you're not as good as you think you are. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Oh, 100%.
Um,
I have a moment. Yeah, I think exactly like that in high school with my high school coach. Shout out to Mike Inger. And actually, we just was talking to him the other day about this. It's along the same lines. If for me, in my conversations with him, it was always like, okay, so tell me what your goals are. You just want to be the best player at Hayes. Okay, yeah. Okay, you want to be a college player. Okay, yeah. You want to do you just want to be a college player? Or do you want to be the best player on the college team? Okay, that's what you want. Okay, you want to play professionally. That's your goal. Okay, but along those, any of those, I'm answering those questions. you're going to be held to the standard of what you're telling me your goal is. So when I was in high school, when I was just a freshman, I wanted to be the best player in high school, blah, blah, blah. And I was. And then eventually, the conversation, okay, do you want to be the best player in the state? So you're going to be held, he was going to hold me to those standards. And a lot of times it was breaking me down because I told him I wanted to be the best player in the state. And if I wasn't doing things that aligned with my goals of what I'm saying, this is what I want, then ultimately, you need to be held accountable. When you're telling your story of like, uh, you're pitching and you're worried about one changeup, but you're telling me your goals are this and that. It's the same thing of like, I told him I want to be the best player in the state, and if I was not having the bats or taking the bats like I was supposed to have, or was not putting in the prep like I'm supposed to be putting in to be the best player in the state, and then you're going to get told and you're going to get the honest truth. But if you just want to be the best player and just have fun in high school, that's fine too. Then you're gonna be treated that way. But as soon as you verbalize and you tell me, and this is what I tell kids now, if you tell me you want to be like a dog on the mound and you want to be the best pitcher in your high school and you want to go pitch in college, I'm gonna treat you that way, and we're gonna talk, and your goals and your actions need to be aligned. And
And
I
I think
think
that's something that the athletes that we have need to recognize. And like, I can kind of see a little bit more like having a team now where it's like some kids now, and I'm not trying to say like nowadays or whatever, like it's probably the same back when we were younger too, but like, I think some kids will look around and be like, why is coach so much harder on me than this other person who is doing things just as wrong as I am? And they get offended or they get upset about it versus like recognizing, and it's like one of those cliches or whatever, like something you're told like growing up, but it's like, I'm probably going to be harder on the person that wants to go further than the person who's just like showing up just to hang out.
you should,
You know what I
and then
mean?
you should be.
And like they're both going to get equal amount of like the person who's just showing up and like not doing their job. Like, yeah, that's one thing, right? But the person who's like, it's just going back to it's like the expectation, right? Expectation, like we have high standards, high expectations, um, and like if you say that that's what you want, exactly what you're saying, then you have to be held to that, and like other people might not be held to the same expectations because they're not the same level as you. I don't know how to
Mhm.
explain it. Like
No, you're right.
it's
So
like
it'd
it's
be
like
like if me and you met and I said, and we're having a meeting and you're like, I said, Ryan, okay, tell me what your goals are. Where do you want to be in whatever you're, say Ryan Clark's a high schooler. Ryan, that you're a really good pitcher. Tell me what your goals are. You say, Jacob, I want to pitch in Division One, and then all right, I ask you, all right, what are you doing right now to get closer to that? Well, I just right now like I play catch 3 or 4 days a week. Like I don't really have a lifting program or this and that. And then I would be like, Ryan, that is absolutely unacceptable. You're telling me you want to go play Division One and you can't even play catch 3 or 5 days a week? That's crazy. And then to your point, that kid might feel like, oh, he's being really hard on me, but yada yada yada. Look at
but
this
so
kid
and
over
so
here.
only throws
Look at
twice a
this kid
week.
over here. This kid only throws like 3 days a week, and they just let him do whatever he wants, whatever. But and that kid has not told me that that's what his goals are. If he told me that was his goals, if little Bob over there said he wants to play Division One, we're going to tell him what he needs to do to be there. But you told me, Ryan, that you want to play Division One baseball. This is what it takes, and what you're doing is flat out not going to get you there.
And I think there's levels to that. I mean, we were kind of
You're
talking
offended by
about
that, then
this.
that's your problem. But you told me that's what you want, and I'm going to help you get there.
Yeah, and you were talking about this before we started recording, but like I think a lot of kids here want to go to Vanderbilt. They want to go to like all the big name, the big brand schools. You know what I mean? And like I think we take, and I don't know about you, but like I think we take like you in high school, me in high school, and like I know that there's no way I would have ever had the opportunity to go play at Florida State, or Clemson. I just wasn't good enough out of high school, but I worked hard and I cared a lot. And I made AAA, got drafted like pretty high. Like I was a good baseball player, and I think that here, um, there's a lot of kids who are good baseball players but who don't work as hard as I think there's a no like that you did or I did, but they think that they have that same like they have just the same opportunities as everybody else to go play at those schools. And I think that's where um like us being harder on those kids, which like it's like a moment where they can either prove us wrong or they just say, screw that guy, I'm gonna go somewhere else, or I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing because he doesn't know anything. Um, but I think like I guess like it's hard. How do This is me just asking you a question right here. Like, how do we talk to those kids for them to, you know, I guess it goes back into buy-in, but like understand like there's such a small amount of kids out of high school that get the opportunity to play at those schools. So what are you doing different to separate yourself from all of them? You know? Um,
It's not an easy conversation at all, and it's definitely a conversation that comes up multiple times. And I think our job as coaches or mentors or whatever is to just provide a space that look, you I understand what your goals are, and I know you, I like you, I trust you, and the same thing needs to come back the other way. But I'm telling you, this is what needs to happen. Not to say just because I've been there and done that, but I've done it, but I've seen it a million other times. I've seen so many other people go through it. It's not we're not coming from a place like we know everything. It's just the reality is that we've seen it time and time again. And the way we have to, and really in baseball or any life situation, if you tell me what your goals are and I am able to help you, and I'm just going to be honest, like you need to do these things to get towards your goal. And I think a lot of it has to come from a place of knowing each other, liking each other, and trusting each other. And then once that's established, there's a space that you can grow that relationship to be brutally honest and tell a kid that you're throwing 3 or 4 days a week and you're not going to play Division 1 at this pace of the effort you're putting in, or you're only hitting a couple of days a week. It's just not going to get it done.
yeah, or maybe like they are talented enough to do that, like get the opportunity, but then once they get there, it's a rude awakening. You know what I mean?
I think yeah. So
Um,
not I that makes me think you can at some point get away with your skill, whatever, to get your opportunity. But the reality is also maybe you can outskill in high school, but if you don't live in that world and then you're just outskilling people, but you're just living in this kind of like complacent world. Once you step up to the next level, when you can't outskill and you're still in this complacent world, that's where you're going to see a lot of drop off and a lot of adversity, a lot of difficulty, just overall with probably with baseball, but also handling the rest of the stresses of the world and life. It'll just come weighing down on you.
yeah, yeah, especially if you have like high goals, but not the proper work ethic to that goes along with your goals. It's like, um, it's not like real versus feel, but it's like, you still have to match like
Mm-hmm.
what your goals are to what your input has to match like the output, right? Like you can't,
One hundred percent.
I guess it's
That's
the way
one
of saying
hundred
it.
percent it. If your input doesn't
Um,
match your output, there's just going to be discrepancy, and you're going to run into pretty much unnecessary stress. I mean, unnecessary adversity purely because you live in this world of whatever, and then you think you're in this other spot, and then when worlds collide, it doesn't match up, and you're running into a lot of stuff that could be avoided.
yeah. All right. So I think we're pretty close to time. So we'll do something a little bit different to end this one. So how many of those books behind you have you actually read from front to back, not just like opened it up and looked at it?
Probably the one I read most recently, twice. Can you see it? This one.
Yeah.
I guess it's backwards on the camera, but I'm working my
The
way
Monk.
through 'em. The monk who sold his Ferrari. It's actually kind of applies. Doesn't really apply to what we talked about, but just ridding yourself of I know the toxins of the world and just finding joy in the simple processes and the simple things of life and being even keeled.
So I guess it
I'm working
could,
on them though. I'm working on them, right?
Yeah, at least they look good.
That's what
Looks like
half
you
of it
read at
is.
least.
Half of it is.
All right. So then, last thing to wrap it up. How about I know that I usually do this part, but give me like one quick sentence to really just um tie it all in. What was today about?
Well, what's today about? One quick
Just like a
hitter.
quick, yeah, a little quick clip for your IG baby.
Sure. Um, I would say that one of my, I mean, this kind of applies, but complacency comes to collect. That's it. Complacency collects.
Okay, I'll have to chew on that one.
Think about that.
I will think about that. I think for me, I would say hope is not enough. And what is your separator? I think those are things that people need to think about.
I like that.
I hope so. I hope it's good. I hope that's like life changing to someone. Um, all right. Well, thank you, Bosie. I actually kind of like this format. I don't know if you do, but
Thanks for being here.
um, yeah, it makes it kind of we get some more of these done, and this was nice. So appreciate you. Thank you, anybody who's still here listening to us babble. Thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing to be here. Um, and yeah, again, I'll say that at the end of every single one, but you guys can like, subscribe, helps us out a ton. Appreciate you guys. Bye.